Hello everybody. Something been on my mind for, my Lord, for years now, I guess, is why I believe, why do we go crazy over big bucks? Big white-tailed deer, big white-tail, not just big bucks, big body-wise, but big rack-wise, big antlers. Why is most of the time we don't even pay any attention to the body, but why is it we're willing to spend thousands of dollars and hours on stand and arguing with other people about whose deer it is, and willing to ruin friendships and relationships with family members over these, over the antlers. I'll say it's really not over the deer, it's over the antlers. Who gets to hold that set of antlers? And I think, I don't know definite, but it just makes sense to me that I believe it is a deep within our genetics it's twofold. It's not in our genetics to value antlers on deer. I don't believe that. I believe that was started, and it worked great. It was started by, I don't know the exact year, but supposedly Boone and Crockett, whatever their first names are, last names Boone and Crockett, when they started the scoring system, and it created a way for us men in particular, mostly because how we like to count stuff, whether it be dollar bills or length of things or how much we weigh. If we're into bodybuilding, oh, it's our body weight, we got to weigh a certain amount, we got to lift a certain number, our bicep has to be a certain number of inches, how tall are we, like say how much money's in the account, how much square footage is on the house, how many miles per hour can we run, how many, numbers. Anything that it's like, it all goes into the mindset of the video game mindset. It's just like the score that we see, continually going up. We want the higher score, whatever it is, whatever endeavor it is, we want to see that score go up. So, and ironically, the antler inches on a deer is called its score. What did it score? So that feeds right into our brain. And, they created that from what I heard of, was in hopes of allowing mature bucks, that people would pass up smaller bucks and allow these bucks to mature and pass on their genes before they was killed. So it from the way it was explained to me, that before then the body weight was the thing. It was, deer was looked at almost like catching a big bass. It was like, how much did it weigh? Antlers was irrelevant. They wanted the body weight. And so when the scoring system started, that's when we started valuing antlers. And so now, to get the antlers, the big scoring antlers, in our minds, we have to become the big kahuna hunter, the main guy at the top of the totem pole of our tribe. We want to be known as the best hunter out there, and getting that higher score in our minds gets us closer to being, what would you say, being believed by the rest of our tribal members, hunters, family members. We think, females that we're interested in are going to care about that. So we will do anything to reach that status. It is all about, it is not about the score. It is trying to get, we're trying to reclaim that status that is in our genes from long ago. And I do believe that at one time it was a legitimate level of status. It was, I don't know how long ago, before we started having subdivisions and dollar stores and you know, whatever you want to call any other kind of little venues we do now to keep us occupied. And everything was basically the way you see it behind me. The playing field, the landscape in America was basically pretty even. I mean, I'm sure within your tribe anyway. I mean, you couldn't just look at somebody on YouTube and see what was going on in, you know, Nebraska, and you're down in Florida. You could maybe figure out what was within a few days walking distance, what was going on in that with that tribe and this tribe. But I'm pretty sure then the you know, the hunting land was all pretty much an even playing field. And as Steve Ranella, he said it a while back, he said it like all of us owe a debt of gratitude to past hunters because we would not be here had our, he says essentially none of us would be here had our ancestors not been great hunters, because we would have starved to death. We couldn't have, we wouldn't have made it on a vegan diet, even though some people can, you know, they don't thrive on one. They can somewhat, they can survive on one. Anyway, that's another topic. But the hunters were the ones that, you know, the guys that brought back the animal, drug home the deer consistently, were the ones that I believe were, like I say, the big kahuna of the tribe. They were seen, if you was top hunter then, you was seen as very valuable member of the tribe and likely could gain access to the hottest tribal member woman, you know, and had a lot of respect between fellow tribe members. And it was kind of a legitimate thing. There wasn't no, like today, it's just the playing field between hunting for each hunter is too variable to even decide who is the best hunter. What is the best hunter? Because it's not like, you know, it's just too much. You know, if you go strictly by who is killing the most highest scoring deer, well, maybe they have a lot of money and they're consistently paying you know, some outfitter to go kill their deer that they've done all the work. Or what, you know, like I know a guy that he's basically said he had too many spots to hunt, you know, and so you take that, you got access to unlimited hunting. Say there's one mature buck on each property and he's got 10 different properties, he could literally screw up 9 times that whole season on mature bucks and do everything right on that one, and every year kill a good buck, to where maybe the guy that doesn't have, wherever he's at, doesn't have good access, he only has 1 or 2 mature bucks, and so he can only screw up 1 time to get that 1 buck. He has to really make it count. Or it's, you know, it's public ground or private ground. I know people that have nearly 1,000 acres and they're basically the only ones that hunt on that land. And to say that is the same as the person that's hunting public or the person that's hunting subdivisions or farmland or who knows what. It's just so, some land is pressured, some land is not. I mean, and I know this because I have had, over the years, I've had access to all kinds of different properties. And I remember a 500-acre farm I had access to hunt. And, during that time, hunting was easy for me. I mean, I was routinely then, hardly anybody ever heard of passing up an 8-point buck. It was like if it was 8, it was done for. And I don't know how many 8-point bucks I just let walk by because I had seen the sign and seen them from a distance. A lot bigger bucks in that area, and it was no big deal to kill high numbers of deer on that farm. So my playing field had gotten a lot easier, and I could have puffed out my chest and act like it was because I was some sort of my skill level had jumped up in hunting, but I would be lying to myself and everybody else. I just knew that I had access to a lot easier hunting ground than I did in the past, and that made the difference. So I acknowledge that, and I enjoyed the time I had there. It was some fun hunting. It wasn't so much frustration and all this, but so it's just, I think now people are still trying to get that status that was legitimate status then, and I believe it probably come mostly down to what females you had access to in the tribe, and that's probably the strongest drive for any man out there is women. So I believe in somewhat of a thing way back in their primitive brain is saying to us that if we kill this 170, 180, 150, whatever buck, we are going to gain the status of our tribe and therefore have access to any female we want in the tribe. It's going to essentially get us everything we want in life by getting this proven to our tribe that we are top dog hunter, when in fact today's time you just really don't know. It's just too much. I mean, I know I don't know how many people you think they're big and bad hunters, and then you later find out they get busted by the game wardens and find out they was hunting in a park at night for 10 years or overbait or whatever. And to which that is to where and I have fell for this whole for a period of time I've fell for this whole going gaga over big antler deer. So, and there's a part of me that feels ashamed for doing that. I think people are finally kind of catching on. They're kind of asking themselves, like, what are we doing here? Like, we've turned something hunting that's supposed to be about getting food so we can survive for eons, for the 99.9% of time that we as humans have been on Earth. Hunting has been about survival, and now it has come down to some type of scoring antler thing that the animal itself, Mother Nature itself, deems so invaluable. The thing, they fall off every year, and the squirrels and chipmunks chew them up. So that is basically the point, the reason I think we are so insane over it, and why I think I'm going to do my best. It is a strong pull. Do my best to step out of that. I feel like that silliness of, spending that much time over an antler to gain perceived but not real status between a tribe that doesn't even exist anymore. And I've only attempted to really focus on mature bucks, I think, the last 3 seasons, and that was because the first season I basically started using cell cameras 3 seasons ago, and using those cell cameras allowed me to see deer that I didn't even know that caliber of deer was even in the area. So that made me kind of like, man, I do stand a pretty good chance of killing whopper of a buck antler wise. And after having some close calls and killed a couple of them that I was actually pursuing, but I realized I could not have done that without, I don't think, I mean, I may have looked up, but the cell camera, it had a lot to do with killing those deer. And I acknowledge that, and it drives me crazy to hear people say, oh, it don't really make that much difference, it just kind of gives me inventory, lets me know what's out there. And I'm just like, well, maybe you're using it wrong, because it made a big difference in my ability to kill these deer. To the point, I mean, one deer, I think I had 5 cell cameras out devoted for him, and great tool, allowed me to figure out his pattern, where he's going to be this time, evenings, mornings, whatever, and eventually killed him. To where I remember one, I won't say who they are, but they make routinely hunting videos, and they killed this one deer that they had been chasing for, I think, like 3 years, and they said they had 70 cameras out for this one deer. And I thought, man, I had 5 out, and I was like, well, yeah, I should have killed him. I had 5 cell cameras on his hind end, tracking him all, 24/7. I knew right where he was at. If he walked in front of one of those cameras, I knew. So, and I thought, man, 70? Like, yeah, you should kill the deer. You got 70 cameras on that thing. You should know. I mean, the only thing left to do is put a GPS tracker on him and just say, hey, he's headed this way right now, and keep scooting over until you can get within sight of him. So, and then the other thing, probably lastly, so I'm kind of like, I'm still going to use cell cameras to kill deer, whether it just be does and spikes. But this season, I've decided that, and that's all I want to do. I'm going to fill the freezer, and then I'm quitting. I'm killing till the freezer's full. Then I'm hanging it up and going to start trapping coyotes and bobcats. And not, big buck walks in front of me, so be it, but I don't feel all that proud about the one I use cell cameras to kill. They're a great tool. Like I say, I will use them this year in the main pursuit of saving time, of trying to shorten days. It's starting to rain on me out here, but to try to shorten my days or shorten my times of setting in a tree and seeing nothing. That hopefully when I do go, I see deer and I kill something. So, because I mean, I value the meat more than anything. I don't think, I know now after they've done all kinds of studies on it, that it is absolutely, the white-tailed deer is the healthiest meat on the planet. And I kind of already suspected that, because when I was doing bodybuilding contests, I would do my diets on some on just like regular beef and chicken from the store. And I done one contest, my dieting process, with nothing but deer meat as my protein, and protein powder, but deer meat was my only meat source, and way easier to get lean and maintain strength and gain muscle and all that. So it was obvious to me that it was way more nutrient dense. But that will be the focus this year. But the main thing that caused me to say, yeah, I've really think it's time to not worry about some antler size or antler number, is Tennessee, which is the state I live in, has decided to make baiting legal on private land if you buy, I think, a $60 permit. I believe it's just another way to make money. It's obviously a way to make money, but that's finally, the cell cameras, the crossbows, the online mapping, the whatever software, all the technology we have now to kill deer. I mean, we can gather more intel on a white-tailed deer than SEAL Team 6 did to find Osama bin Laden. And then we still beg for it to be easier, beg for something else. So now we've got baiting, and to me that's just like, it's kind of like I was trying to do my best to get good at bowling tournaments, or trying to get, be my best at bowling, and I was wanting to win bowling tournaments, and all of a sudden they said, hey, all the tournaments, the lanes are gonna have the bumpers on them. Everybody gets a lane with a bumper, like like you do for the little kids. So the strike is not going to really mean nothing anymore. And to me, with the baiting, killing a big buck here in Tennessee is not really going to mean, it doesn't mean that much to me anymore. It's like, yeah, but I know you could argue for 2 hours about the differences in baiting and food plots and this and that, and it doesn't really make it easier, but I know that it makes it a lot easier. I've seen the effects of putting corn out for hogs, trying to particularly kill a hog, and I thought I was going to have to put a scarecrow up to keep the deer away. I couldn't move because the deer was always around me. It's like, and then it's like, if it doesn't make it easier, then why is so many people wanting to do it? I think, so that being said, anyway, for me anyway, the baiting being legalized here in Tennessee, that's like the bumpers on the lanes at the bowling alley. So that's just my perspective on why we go why we go so crazy about antler size and this and that. And if you think about it, it also fits right into our brain of just like a gambling addiction. Like it is, you win, you almost win, then you don't win, then it's rare enough. Sometimes you hit that jackpot and sometimes you don't. And most of the times you don't. The house wins more than you win, but it's just enough to keep you just trying a little bit harder. And one of these days, and when you do, it's euphoric, and when you lose everything, it's you know, it's up and it's down and it's up and it's down, and it feeds right into what feels like a gambling addiction. And I think people are recognizing that and trying to more or less get back to basics, as they say. And that is what I hope to do this season.